What if the reason you haven't seen the progress you long for isn't because you're failing, but because growth is happening in places you can't yet measure? Think about that for a moment. So often we look for instant results, expecting every effort to bloom overnight, when in truth the most powerful transformations happen quietly, beneath the surface, where no one else can see. Has this ever happened to you? Those moments when you've been working, showing up, trying your best, yet wondering if anything is really changing? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Every great journey begins not with proof of success, but with the willingness to take a step forward, even when the path is uncertain. Improvement is built on this trust that daily effort compounds, that the small decisions you make today will build a foundation tomorrow. Even when you don't see results yet, choosing happiness in the process keeps you moving. Choosing to surround yourself with uplifting ideas and people creates an environment where progress doesn't just visit, it settles in quietly, becoming part of who you are. That's the true essence of improving daily and trusting the process. Learning to value the unseen, the subtle, the gradual shifts that later reveal themselves as life-changing. Yet improvement isn't only about forward momentum. It's also about honesty, the kind of self-honesty that demands courage. Strength doesn't come from pretending everything is perfect. It comes from admitting weaknesses and daring to face them head-on. Have you ever noticed how freeing it feels when you finally let go of what you can't control? There's a power in releasing, in acknowledging limits, and then turning your energy toward the areas where effort truly matters. Self-honesty is the starting line of real growth. It's the point where excuses end and authentic perseverance begins. And perseverance, though it often feels slow, has a reliability to it that no shortcut can replace. When you keep showing up, even without applause, even without visible results, you're training your spirit in resilience. You're building a quiet strength that can't be shaken by circumstances or setbacks. Think about the people you admire most. Were they defined by immediate victories, or by the way they kept moving forward when nothing seemed certain? The truth is, perseverance writes the stories that inspire us most. So as we begin this journey together, I want you to imagine what could change in your life if you embraced both of these principles. Improving daily, no matter how small the step, in practicing the radical strength of self-honesty. Stay with me, because these ideas are only the beginning. We're about to uncover how patience, trust, and the willingness to face yourself honestly can transform not just what you achieve, but who you become. And in the next part, we'll dive deeper into how to apply this in ways that might shift the way you see your own journey forever. If you're someone who values reflections like these and wants to keep walking this journey with me, make sure you subscribe. That way, every new insight we explore together will find its way straight to you, so you won't miss a step. Gratitude has a way of shifting everything, even when the circumstances themselves remain the same. Think about those moments when a day felt impossibly heavy, yet a single thought of thankfulness managed to soften its weight. It's not that the hardship disappeared, but the way you saw it changed, and in that new vision, the pain carried meaning. That's the hidden truth about gratitude. It reframes difficulty into a lesson, giving you strength without asking you to deny what you're going through. When you choose to be thankful, even for the smallest detail, you are telling yourself that every experience, even the challenging ones, is part of your transformation. And this is where mindset becomes crucial. Too often, people wait for the perfect conditions, as if the universe will suddenly align and give them a sign to move forward. But perfect timing is an illusion. Life isn't about waiting for an invitation. It's about creating the moment, shaping it with courage and presence. Every decision you make carries the potential to unlock something within you, to expand your capacity, to reveal strengths you didn't know were there. When you start seeing problems not as obstacles, but as challenges that sharpen your resilience, you stop resisting life and begin honoring it. The revelations that come from this shift in perspective are subtle but powerful. You realize that your potential isn't unlocked by external approval, but by the trust you build in yourself. Behind the scenes of every breakthrough is a series of ordinary days where someone chose not to quit. That's what gratitude and presence cultivate. They take what feels mundane and turn it into fuel. Instead of obsessing about the finish line, you begin to value the journey itself, understanding that wisdom is not a trophy to display, but a practice you refine moment by moment. Have you noticed how much lighter life feels when you stop pretending to have all the answers and instead remain curious, open to discovery? That openness is where true growth happens. It's also where generosity finds its place. Because once you start counting what you still have instead of what you lost, you naturally feel the impulse to give. To give freely, without keeping score, without expecting a return. This act may not change the facts of your reality, but it changes your perspective, and perspective is everything. It takes you out of the role of a victim of circumstance and reminds you that even in limitation, you can create abundance. That act of giving, whether it's your time, your attention, or your kindness, becomes a reflection of inner strength rather than outer wealth. And when you see life this way, challenges become less threatening. They stop being interruptions to your path and become part of the path itself. The impact of this shift is immense, because suddenly you're not waiting for life to happen to you. You're co-creating it. You're meeting each moment with a new kind of power, a calm certainty that no matter what comes, you can transform it into growth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because this practice of gratitude, presence, and self-trust opens doors to a transformation that most people never realize is within reach. It's not about ignoring reality, but about seeing it through a lens that empowers rather than diminishes. And as we explore this further, you'll begin to notice how the smallest choices can create the greatest shifts. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "This makes sense to me," because by putting it into words, you're not only affirming it for yourself, you're also inspiring someone else who might be reading and needs to hear that perspective today. There comes a moment when holding on weighs more than letting go. We carry stories, fears, and even expectations that don't belong to us, and yet we treat them as if they define who we are. The hidden truth is that much of what slows us down isn't the world outside, it's the baggage we refuse to release. Releasing what holds you back is not an act of weakness, but of courage. It's choosing transformation over stagnation, deciding that your journey matters more than the comfort of old patterns. When you do this, you begin to see clearly that consistency, not perfection, bridges the distance between dream and reality. There are no shortcuts, no secret doors. The path is built step by step through small decisions that accumulate into something greater than you imagined. And in that process, authenticity becomes more powerful than the illusion of flawlessness, because what connects and inspires is the truth of who you are, not the mask you wear. Change is rarely gentle, but it is always necessary. It arrives to remind us that life is in motion, that growth demands flexibility, and that resisting it only keeps us trapped in places we've outgrown. When you welcome change instead of fearing it, you transform its impact. Suddenly, it is no longer an intruder, but a teacher, offering new directions and new ways to expand your potential. And the beauty of change is that it doesn't always require grand gestures. Small wins, the tiny milestones often overlooked, carry immense power. They may not feel dramatic, but they accumulate silently behind the scenes, and one day you look back and realize how far you've come. This is where patience comes alive, not as passive waiting, but as an active skill, a mindset that knows what to do while time does its work. Patience, when practiced with intention, becomes a force that steadies you through uncertainty. It teaches you that not every seed you plant blooms immediately, but each one contributes to the garden you're building. And while the waiting can feel frustrating, it is in those moments that your resilience strengthens. Behind every breakthrough are countless days where nothing seemed to change, yet something was being woven in silence. This is why patience isn't resignation, it's wisdom in motion. Growth, of course, is not a straight path. It twists through failures, setbacks, and disappointments that test your resolve. But failing forward is different from simply failing. It's the recognition that mistakes are not the end, but the raw material of transformation. Each misstep carries revelations about what doesn't work, guiding you closer to what does. Have you noticed how strength is never measured by the trophies on a shelf, but by how you carry yourself in the face of defeat? That hidden resilience, the decision to rise again when it would be easier to stop, is the mark of true power. It's not about proving anything to others. It's about proving to yourself that you can continue, even when the road feels heavy. When you learn to free yourself from what harms you, when you honor the small victories, when you embrace patience and use failure as a stepping stone, your entire mindset shifts. Life stops being a race for recognition and becomes a journey of discovery. You see yourself not as someone chasing perfection, but as someone unfolding into authenticity. That is where the real impact lies, because every step forward, no matter how small, creates ripples beyond what you can see. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because what happens after you learn to release, adapt, and rise again is where the most profound transformation begins to unfold. And if you felt this truth echo within you, write in the comments, "I'm also on this path." By sharing it, you affirm your own journey and remind others that they're not walking alone. Acceptance has a quiet strength to it, the kind that doesn't shout but transforms everything it touches. When you allow yourself to accept what has already happened, you stop fighting battles that cannot be won and instead begin to channel your energy into what can be created now. Happiness, in this light, is not the absence of problems, but the appreciation of what remains, the choice to see each sunrise as a new invitation to begin again. This is the hidden truth so many overlook. Growth is not about clinging to an ideal version of life, but about learning to start fresh, again and again, without fear of being a beginner. Every morning holds the potential of a new story if you're willing to let go of yesterday's script. But beginning again doesn't mean drifting without direction. It means looking forward with discipline, knowing that discipline is not restriction, but freedom, the freedom to shape your life intentionally instead of leaving it to chance. Dreams by themselves are fragile, but when met with consistency, they take on structure and become goals, and goals backed by perseverance turn into reality. This is the power of discipline. It transforms vague wishes into tangible progress. Behind the scenes of every so-called overnight success is a long chain of disciplined choices, countless moments when someone decided not to give up. And the remarkable thing is, your instincts often know this path before your mind fully does. That quiet pull you feel towards something greater isn't random. It's a signal, a revelation guiding you toward the life you're meant to build. Still, as you walk this path, you'll notice the constant temptation to seek approval, to measure your worth in the eyes of others. It's natural, but it can also become a prison. When you're driven only by external validation, you hand over the keys to your peace of mind, letting others decide whether or not you deserve to feel fulfilled. But true strength is found in turning inward and seeking approval within. Facing uncomfortable truths about yourself, your fears, your limits, your mistakes requires courage. But it also brings liberation. It allows you to stop performing and start living. Enjoying the journey, rather than obsessing over the destination, becomes a powerful act of self-respect. Success measured only by possessions is fragile, because possessions can be lost. But success measured by inner peace is unshakable, because it is rooted in something no one can take from you. That sense of peace becomes the compass guiding your decisions, the anchor that holds you steady when the storms of life threaten to overwhelm. Imagine what would shift if you stopped chasing applause and started listening to your own sense of alignment, your own quiet confirmation that you are enough. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when acceptance, discipline, and inner peace converge, they create a kind of transformation that changes not just how you live, but how you see yourself. It's in this space that the most profound revelations arise, where strength is no longer about appearances, but about authenticity, and where happiness is no longer borrowed from the approval of others, but built from within. If these words echo in you, write in the comments, "This makes sense to me." Because saying it out loud affirms your own journey and lets others recognize themselves in your story, creating a chain of connection that goes far. Beyond this moment, there's something powerful about the act of dreaming. It lifts your gaze above the routine, reminding you that life is bigger than the tasks and obligations of a single day. Dreaming big gives you direction, but it is the daily effort that carries you there. Without action, even the most vivid vision remains only an image in your mind. The hidden truth is that transformation doesn't come from sudden bursts of inspiration, but from the quiet consistency of showing up again and again, even when it feels like nothing is happening. And yes, mistakes will accompany you along the way, but mistakes are not a reflection of who you are. They are teachers. Each wrong turn reveals something you needed to see, something behind the scenes that shapes your journey. If you can embrace them as part of the process, instead of wearing them as a label, they become stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. This path requires listening, not just to others, but to yourself in a deeper way. Listening with the heart means paying attention to the subtle cues within you, the instincts and whispers that often carry more truth than the loudest voices around you. When you listen deeply, you realize that growth is not about being better than anyone else, but about outgrowing the version of yourself that existed yesterday. That's where confidence begins to bloom, not in proving yourself to the world, but in recognizing that you are capable of becoming more than you once believed. Confidence has an impact far beyond appearance. It opens doors that once seemed locked, creating opportunities where before there were only walls. And what's even more fascinating is that those doors often lead to places you couldn't have imagined until you decided to trust yourself enough to walk forward. Yet none of this is possible if you remain chained to the past. Yesterday has its lessons, but it was never meant to dictate your value. Holding on to old wounds, failures, or criticism suffocates the present moment, leaving no space for new beginnings to take root. To let go is to breathe again. To release the grip of yesterday is to give today the freedom to surprise you. Critics may try to define you, but their words lose power the moment you stop carrying them with you. The hidden strength lies in understanding that value is not assigned by others, it is cultivated within. And so, letting the past go is not just about healing old pain, but about choosing to step into a future that feels lighter, freer, and more aligned with who you are becoming. It's about seeing every day as an opportunity for renewal, where yesterday's mistakes don't overshadow today's possibilities. In this space, transformation unfolds naturally, because you're no longer dragging the weight of what was. You're creating space for what can be. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the combination of dreaming with courage, listening with depth, and releasing with wisdom shapes a mindset capable of rewriting the entire narrative of a life. And if you feel that this resonates with where you are right now, write in the comments, "I'm ready to begin again." Putting it into words not only affirms your own readiness, but also inspires others to step into their own new beginnings. Discipline is often misunderstood as a rigid set of rules, when in truth it is the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you want to be. Without it, goals remain distant, abstract, almost like dreams scribbled on a page. But with discipline, those same dreams begin to take form, step by step, choice by choice. And the hidden truth is that setbacks, which so often feel like proof of failure, are in reality part of this bridge. Each obstacle teaches you to adjust your pace, refine your focus, and find a rhythm that keeps you moving forward. Being patient with yourself in these moments is crucial, because the journey is rarely smooth. Gratitude, too, plays its role. Here it reshapes the narrative, turning not enough into more than enough. When you recognize the progress already made, no matter how small, you feed the momentum needed to continue. Challenges, for all their weight, are never empty. Inside them lies the seed of opportunity, waiting to be uncovered by those willing to look beyond the surface. Think about the moments that tested you most. How many of them revealed strengths you didn't know you had? How many times did what first appeared as a setback later show itself to be a hidden blessing? That's the transformation concealed behind difficulty. What looks like an end often contains the beginning of something greater. When you choose to celebrate even the smallest advance, you refuse to let difficulty steal your perspective. Planting happiness in the present doesn't mean ignoring the struggle. It means refusing to let struggle dictate the story. It's a decision, and it reshapes the impact of everything that follows. Peace of heart, after all, is a kind of wealth that circumstances cannot touch. Learning to see challenges this way requires a shift in mindset. Instead of resisting life when it brings discomfort, treat it as a constant teacher, one that delivers lessons in unexpected ways. Behind the scenes of every success story is a series of lessons learned, mistakes corrected, and insights earned the hard way. Growth demands that you keep learning, not only from others, but also from yourself. And part of this learning is recognizing what lies within your control and what does not. When you spend energy on what you cannot change, frustration takes root. But when you focus on what is within reach, the progress you create becomes undeniable. Patience is the thread that weaves this all together. It transforms blueprints into buildings, ideas into reality, and potential into tangible results. What is most fascinating is how these elements discipline, gratitude, patience, and the ability to see opportunity within. Adversity begin to reshape your journey from the inside out. They anchor you when life feels uncertain and propel you when energy runs low. They are the unseen forces working behind the scenes, ensuring that every step, even the smallest, has meaning. And when you begin to trust this process, the revelations arrive not in grand flashes, but in steady transformations, the kind that others may not notice until the impact becomes impossible to ignore. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because understanding how to live with this mindset is what turns ordinary days into extraordinary journeys, where setbacks lose their power and perseverance becomes second nature. And if these words resonate with your experience, write in the comments, "This makes sense to me." By doing so, you not only affirm this truth for yourself, but also remind others that their path, with all its challenges and hidden opportunities, carries meaning too. There is a fire inside each of us, a quiet flame that represents our drive, our hope, and our vision of what life could become. Yet how often do we allow failure to dim that light, as if one setback were enough to extinguish everything we've built? Guarding your flame means protecting that spark, even when the winds of disappointment blow strongest. It means valuing what is already in your hands, instead of constantly mourning what slipped through your fingers. The hidden truth is that abundance begins with appreciation. When you recognize the worth of what you already carry, you stop living in scarcity and start nurturing the energy that fuels growth. And just as importantly, surrounding yourself with people who fan that flame instead of smothering, it creates a circle of support that keeps you steady. Behind the scenes of every strong individual is often a community, whether large or small, that reinforces their resilience. Enjoying the process itself becomes the fuel that keeps the flame alive, because joy in the journey is more sustainable than the fleeting thrill of achievement. Purposeful living flows from that flame. When you move with intention, life no longer feels like a series of random events. You begin to see the thread connecting each choice, each opportunity, each challenge. Gratitude here is not passive. It actively opens new doors, revealing paths you might have overlooked when your focus was only on what's missing. And persistence, the quiet companion of every lasting transformation, ensures that success isn't just a brief visitor, but a guest that stays. Purpose turns ordinary routines into rituals of meaning, reshaping how you walk through the world. Every decision, no matter how small, becomes a chance to align with something greater than comfort. It becomes a reflection of who you truly are becoming. Still, none of this would hold its true power without intuition, service, and humility. Intuition is that compass inside you, guiding you even when logic can't map the way forward. It is a form of hidden knowledge, often dismissed in a world obsessed with evidence, yet it quietly shapes the most important decisions of our journey. When you learn to trust it, you realize it rarely leads you astray. But intuition alone is not enough. It must be balanced with service. Leading by serving may seem paradoxical, yet it carries the deepest impact. Service anchors your journey in something larger than yourself, keeping your growth from collapsing into self-interest. And humility, perhaps the most underrated of all qualities, ensures that mistakes are not final verdicts, but markers along the path. They are guideposts, not gravestones, pointing you toward lessons you might have missed otherwise. This union of inner flame, purposeful action, and humble service creates a mindset that is unshakable. It allows you to walk through life not as someone who fears failure, but as someone who transforms failure into wisdom. It's about recognizing that the journey itself is sacred, that the process of becoming is just as important as the becoming itself. And when these elements intertwine, the impact is profound. You stop living as a passenger of circumstance and begin shaping life as a conscious creator. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you learn to guard your flame, live with intention, and lead with humility, something extraordinary begins to unfold. A transformation that touches not only your path, but the paths of those around you. And if these words speak to your experience, write in the comments, "I'm keeping my flame alive." Because in affirming it, you remind yourself and inspire others that resilience and purpose are choices renewed each day. There's a certain magic in looking at life with awe, as if each day were offering you a secret waiting to be uncovered. Wonder softens the weight of routine and makes even the smallest details feel like part of something extraordinary. And when you grant yourself the permission to begin again, to truly embrace renewal, you realize that every ending carries within it a hidden invitation to start fresh. This act of renewal is not just about external changes, it's about reclaiming belief in yourself. A self-belief that becomes the foundation for every ascent. Confidence is never built in a single leap. It begins with one choice, one step, one decision to trust your own strength. That inner decision, repeated daily, creates a transformation that others often don't notice until its impact has become undeniable. But this journey requires presence. Kindness toward yourself and others is not weakness. It is a form of wisdom that brings balance to ambition. To be here now, to actually inhabit the moment, is one of the most difficult yet rewarding disciplines. It grounds you so that perseverance is not blind effort, but steady movement, aligned with something greater than temporary desire. Perseverance rarely rewards instantly. It pays late, but when it does, the value is unmatched. And part of persevering is learning to release what no longer serves your purpose, whether it's outdated beliefs, draining relationships, or habits that keep you stuck. Letting go creates the space where new possibilities can finally breathe. Errors, too, must be seen differently. They are often costly, yes, but they are also some of the most effective tutors you'll ever have. The hidden truth is that mistakes strip away illusions and show you, with startling clarity, where growth is needed. If you learn kindly, without crushing yourself under judgment, you can extract the lessons without losing the will to continue. Discipline plays its part here, not as punishment, but as momentum, the gentle push that keeps you moving forward when comfort tempts you to stop. And self-compassion becomes the thread that sustains this climb. Without it, discipline turns harsh. With it, discipline becomes an act of self-respect, a way of honoring the journey instead of resenting it. Behind the scenes of transformation, these elements intertwine seamlessly. Wonder keeps your spirit alive. Renewal keeps you adaptable. Confidence fuels your steps. Kindness keeps you balanced. Perseverance anchors your progress. And self-compassion ensures you don't abandon yourself along the way. This is the mindset that turns obstacles into revelations, the lens that reveals opportunity where others only see failure. It's a way of walking through life that feels less like survival and more like conscious creation. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when awe, kindness, and learning with compassion come together, they reshape the way you face challenges, the way you make decisions, and the way you see yourself within the larger journey. And if this resonates with you right now, write in the comments, I choose to begin again. By doing so, you'll not only affirm your own renewal, but also remind others that fresh starts are always possible, no matter how many times life has tested them. The people you allow close to you shape far more than your days. They shape your mindset, your courage, and even the way you see yourself. Choosing your allies wisely is not about surrounding yourself with those who flatter you, but with those who believe in you enough to remind you of your strength when you forget it. There will always be noise, voices eager to criticize or diminish, but if you let that noise dictate your path, the flame of your motivation begins to flicker. Protecting that inner drive is not selfish. It's essential. Patience and consistency become the pillars that hold you steady while you grow. And the allies who stand beside you during that process are the ones who help you keep building, even when progress seems invisible. Behind the scenes of every meaningful journey, there are unseen supporters, quiet encouragers, people whose belief becomes part of your resilience. And yet, even with all eyes, the journey ultimately comes back to the peace you cultivate within yourself. External approval fades, circumstances shift, but the calm you foster inside becomes the foundation that nothing can touch. Seeking peace within doesn't mean escaping difficulty. It means transforming it. Gratitude is the alchemy here, turning the heaviness of problems into lessons, turning what feels like resistance into a deeper kind of strength. When you begin to see that each step, no matter how slow, carries purpose, the frustration of delay loosens its grip. Every part of the path becomes meaningful, even the parts that test you, because you start to sense that nothing is wasted. Purpose isn't always loud, it often reveals itself quietly. In hindsight, when you look back and realize that the slow progress was guiding you exactly where you needed to be. But to walk this way requires going beyond the limits you've accepted as truth. Limits are often less about reality and more about the stories we've repeated to ourselves for too long. To move past them, you must quiet the world long enough to actually hear yourself, the hidden truth beneath the layers of doubt, distraction, and expectation. This silence is not emptiness, it is clarity. And it's in that clarity that you recognize patience for what it truly is. Not idleness, not stagnation, but preparation. Patience is the unseen rehearsal before the curtain rises, the gathering of strength before the decisive moment. It is the training ground for transformation, ensuring that when the right moment comes, you are ready not only to step forward, but to step fully into who you are meant to be. The revelations that arise when you align with this rhythm are profound. Suddenly, you stop seeing challenges as punishments and begin to recognize them as preparation. You stop interpreting slowness as failure and start seeing it as depth. And most of all, you stop confusing the noise of others with the truth of your own journey. It's here that the most significant transformation takes place, where peace, purpose, and courage blend into a force that not only changes your life, but influences the lives around you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you learn to choose your allies, guard your inner calm, and stretch beyond your limits, you begin to discover a strength that was always there, waiting for you to trust it. And if this speaks to where you are right now, write in the comments, "I'm ready to go beyond." By doing so, you affirm that your path is not bound by the limits of yesterday, but guided by the possibilities of tomorrow. When you begin to see challenges as growth reps, the entire landscape of your journey shifts. What once felt like resistance now becomes training, shaping you in ways that comfort never could. Gratitude plays a key role here, not because it magically alters circumstances, but because it reshapes you. And that hidden truth is what makes all the difference. Gratitude doesn't erase difficulty. It transforms your perception of it. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift in mindset alters the impact of every obstacle, turning what once felt like punishment into preparation. Growth is often silent, happening behind the scenes when no one is watching. But it reveals itself in how you rise from struggle with a deeper strength and a clearer vision of who you are becoming. Discipline then steps in as the steady guide, helping you choose what you want most over what you want now. It's not about denying yourself joy or spontaneity, but about keeping sight of the bigger picture when distractions call for your attention. Impulse offers temporary satisfaction, but discipline builds transformation. It's the quiet decision, repeated daily, that becomes the scaffolding for your future. And along this path, the people around you matter. Surrounding yourself with those who genuinely cheer your wins protects your spirit from unnecessary weight. Celebrating with such allies reinforces not just your achievements, but also your sense of belonging. At the same time, discipline teaches you to loosen your grip on what you cannot control. Holding on too tightly drains you, but learning to release what lies outside your influence creates room for progress to flow more naturally. Vulnerability then reveals its unexpected power. For too long, it has been misunderstood as weakness, when in reality, it is one of the strongest positions you can take. To own your vulnerability is to stand with honesty, to admit that you are not invincible, but still choose to move forward. That decision carries immense weight because it reflects authenticity, not performance. Vulnerability deepens connection, both with yourself and with others, because it allows truth to breathe. And tied to vulnerability is the wisdom of timing. Life unfolds in seasons, each with its own rhythm, and trying to force the wrong season only leads to frustration. Trusting the flow of these seasons doesn't mean doing nothing. It means aligning your steps with the right moment. Recognizing that serenity comes when you respect life's natural pace. Patience is not stagnation, but harmony with time. The revelations that come when you integrate these principles are profound. You stop measuring strength by how little you feel and start measuring it by how deeply you embrace the full spectrum of your humanity. You stop chasing perfection and start building resilience. You stop rushing blindly and start aligning with rhythm. And perhaps most importantly, you stop seeing yourself as someone at the mercy of circumstances and start seeing yourself as someone who can create meaning through them. Transformation isn't a single dramatic event. It's the accumulation of decisions to grow, to discipline your desires, and to honor both your power and your vulnerability. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because when gratitude, discipline, and vulnerability converge, they form a foundation that not only sustains you through challenges, but elevates you beyond them. And if this resonates with where you are right now, write in the comments, I choose growth. By affirming it, you anchor that decision in your own journey and inspire others to embrace the same transformation. When chaos surrounds you, the greatest battle isn't outside, it's within your own mind. To master your mind is to reclaim the steering wheel when distractions, fears, and pressures are pulling in every direction. It's learning to pause in the noise and separate what screams for attention from what truly matters. The urgent often disguises itself as important, but wisdom comes from knowing the difference. And in that space of clarity, you give yourself permission to learn from errors without being defined by them. Mistakes become part of the architecture of growth, not the evidence of failure. They prepare you for the smart risks, the ones that don't seek reckless thrill, but stretch you just enough to unlock potential you didn't know you had. These are the risks that reshape destiny, the decisions that carry lasting impact far beyond the moment they're made. But mastering your mind also means shifting from clinging to building. So much energy is wasted in trying to hold on tightly to things we can't control. Outcomes, people, timing, approval. When your hands are clenched, you cannot create. Growth requires release, a willingness to loosen your grip and let life breathe. In this release, you discover the strength of a solution-seeking mindset. Instead of dwelling on what's broken, you start asking how to build, how to move forward, how to turn difficulty into innovation. Gratitude becomes the quiet multiplier here. It doesn't deny what's missing, but it amplifies what is present, and in doing so, it creates momentum. What you focus on expands, and when you focus on the good, you find more to work with than you realized. Behind the scenes of transformation, gratitude is often the silent force keeping you moving when discouragement whispers that you should stop. Time, then, becomes the resource that reveals whether you are truly aligned with this way of living. To be the owner of your hours is to live with intention, to refuse to let days slip by as though they belonged to someone else. Ownership doesn't mean squeezing every moment with productivity. It means choosing with care how you invest the currency of your time. Persistence becomes more valuable than perfection here. The pursuit of perfection paralyzes, while persistence builds layer upon layer until the shape of your effort stands solid. And in that persistence, humility finds its place. Humility teaches what pride never can, that listening to your heart's quiet call often carries more truth than chasing applause. It grounds you in authenticity, reminding you that the goal is not to appear flawless, but to grow honest and whole. When these principles intertwine clarity in thought, release, over control, persistence in time, and humility in practice, the transformation is undeniable. You start to live less like someone running from chaos, and more like someone creating meaning in the midst of it. The revelations come slowly, almost behind the scenes, but their impact reshapes your entire journey. You begin to see that mastery is not about conquering everything around you. It's about aligning the inner landscape so that no matter what unfolds, you can navigate with strength, patience, and wisdom. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you take ownership of your mind, your choices, and your hours, you unlock a kind of freedom that few ever truly experience. And if this reflection resonates with you, write in the comments, "I choose clarity," because by putting it into words, you declare that your time, your mindset, and your journey belong to you. Progress is never a straight line. It curves, bends, and sometimes feels as if it doubles back on itself. But the essence of advancing is not about sprinting ahead at all costs. It is about continuing to move while releasing the weight of what no longer serves you. The past has its lessons, but clinging to it keeps you from embracing the revelations that unfold in the present. True growth requires adaptation, the willingness to refine your approach when circumstances shift, yet without betraying the values that anchor you. This balanced flexibility, without losing integrity, is the hidden truth behind lasting transformation. Adapt too little and you stagnate. Adapt too much and you forget yourself. But when you adapt while staying true, you become uncheckable. You're able to navigate change without losing your compass. Every day then becomes an invitation to embody that truth. To make today your best effort is not about perfection, but about presence. It is about investing your time like the rare currency it is, asking the questions that require courage, and refusing to settle for appearances. When authenticity is calling, authenticity carries a weight that performance can never match. Because while performance demands constant validation, authenticity speaks for itself. It resonates in the silence, in the way you carry yourself when no one is watching. Behind the scenes of any meaningful journey lies this daily decision to align with truth instead of image. And when you begin to live this way, your energy shifts. You stop chasing applause and start creating impact, not because of what you do once, but because of the consistency of who you are. Patience, too, weaves itself through all of this, transforming difficulty into wisdom. In a world filled with noise and urgency, patience becomes a rare strength. It allows you to quiet the chaos around you long enough to hear the subtle guidance within. That inner compass often whispers rather than shouts, and only patience can tune your ears to it. Patience doesn't mean inaction. It means choosing clarity before action, deciding with intention rather than impulse. It means trusting that perseverance, even when invisible, is building a road beneath your feet. A road others may not see until the structure stands undeniable. This hidden work, the behind-the-scenes effort fueled by patience, is what ultimately shapes lasting success. When you combine advancement with adaptability, authenticity with brave choices, and patience with perseverance, something shifts at the core of your journey. You begin to see that success is not the absence of struggle, but the way you transform struggle into strength. You realize that staying true to your values doesn't limit you, it expands you, because it gives every step integrity. And you learn that the wisdom carved by patience is often the very thing that sets you apart in a world chasing quick rewards. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, Because when forward motion, authenticity, and patience converge, they create not just progress, but transformation and unfolding. That changes the way you see yourself and the path ahead. And if this resonates with where you are right now, write in the comments, "I choose authenticity." By declaring it, you affirm your decision to walk in alignment with your values, even as you adapt and advance into new seasons of your journey. Every effort, no matter how small it feels in the moment, carries the weight of compounding value. The hidden truth is that nothing is waste. Each hard-won minute, each disciplined choice, each silent battle you overcome becomes a foundation stone for the life you're building. Trusting yourself through this process is vital, because there will be seasons of adversity where it seems like progress has vanished. Yet adversity is not a permanent state, it is a season, and like all seasons, it passes. These moments are the behind-the-scenes training ground, the place where resilience is strengthened in silence. And sometimes, you must walk parts of this journey alone. Solitude can feel heavy, but it often becomes the crucible where your deepest transformation takes shape. Walking alone teaches you to hear your own voice above the noise, and to recognize that the strength you seek outside has been within you all along. But strength isn't only about endurance. It's also about alignment with your values. Putting values first is what ensures that your growth has depth and integrity. It's easy to get lost when success or validation tempts you to compromise what matters most. Yet, choosing people who honor your values and respect your truth builds a circle that nourishes you instead of draining you. Boundaries, too, are a form of wisdom, not walls of isolation, but gates of protection. Healthy limits safeguard your peace, keeping you from scattering your energy where it doesn't belong. Forgiveness also plays a role here, not the kind that ignores pain, but the kind that releases its hold so it no longer defines you. When you combine forgiveness with firm boundaries, you create a life that honors both your softness and your strength. Calm then emerges as the quiet power that steadies the entire journey. In a world that glorifies urgency, calm becomes a radical act of clarity. Haste often scatters energy, pulling you into decisions fueled by fear or pressure, while calm gives you space to act with deliberation. Living with fewer needs and seeking deeper meaning allows you to see what others overlook, the hidden opportunities wrapped inside problems. Problems are not merely barriers. They are invitations to expand your perspective, to innovate, to grow. Acting from a place of calm transforms those challenges into stepping stones, because your actions are not reactive, but intentional. Calm is not passivity. It is mastery over impulse, the ability to hold steady until your choices carry real impact. When effort, values, and calmness come together, the effect is transformative. You begin to see how each decision compounds, how every boundary protects, and how every calm response creates ripples far beyond the moment. This is the behind-the-scenes reality of growth. It's less about grand gestures and more about the steady layering of choices, each aligned with truth, each carrying you further along the journey of becoming. Transformation happens in these quiet alignments, in the unseen hours, in the patient cultivation of a life lived with depth rather than speed. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when compounded effort meets firm values and deliberate calm, it creates a foundation so strong that no storm can dismantle it. And if you feel this truth echoing within you, write in the comments, "My foundation is growing." By doing so, you recognize not just where you stand now, but the enduring strength being built with every choice you make. To try bravely is to step into the unknown with a heart that understands risk, but refuses to let fear decide the outcome. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward even while fear whispers in your ear. Every brave attempt plants the seeds of transformation, because even if the outcome isn't what you expected, the act of trying reshapes you. It teaches persistence, and with persistence comes confidence. Not the fragile kind built on flawless results, but the deep confidence that grows each time you refuse to give up on yourself. Alongside this bravery comes an equally important truth, the wisdom of rest. Rest is not laziness, it is restoration. It is the moment where the body, mind, and spirit gather strength for what comes next. And when you accept yourself fully, your limits, your needs, your humanity, you allow rest to bring calm instead of guilt. That calm becomes a foundation where your persistence can thrive. Any day, at any moment, you can declare a new beginning. The past may explain where you've been, but it does not dictate where you're going. Every sunrise is a chance to open the first page of a new chapter, and that choice belongs to you. But bravery and rest are not enough if they are not paired with flexibility grounded in integrity. Life will bend you, sometimes in ways you never anticipated. The hidden truth is that rigidity often breaks us, while flexibility allows us to endure. Yet flexibility without integrity risks losing direction. The art lies in bending without breaking, in adapting while still holding to your core values. Each failure along the way becomes a classroom, teaching lessons that success cannot. And when you can look at those failures and say with strength, I can still improve, you unlock a power far greater than perfection. Improvement is infinite. It is the ongoing journey of becoming, that willingness to grow, to refine, to never settle for the comfort of what already is, creates resilience that no setback can erase. Behind the scenes of every strong life is this combination: the bravery to step forward, the wisdom to rest when needed, and the integrity to remain true while adapting. These qualities together form the kind of mindset that not only withstands challenges, but transforms them. They turn what could have been endings into transitions, what could have been defeats into revelations. They ensure that the impact of your life is not measured by how few times you fell, but by how many times you stood up with renewed vision. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when bravery, rest, flexibility, and integrity converge, they do more than carry you. They create a life of alignment, a journey where every chapter reveals more of your true strength. And if you feel that this reflection resonates with you, write in the comments, I can still improve. By doing so, you affirm not only your resilience, but your commitment to keep growing, no matter where you stand today. If you've stayed with me until now, I want to thank you for giving your time and energy to reflect on these ideas with me. If this conversation has brought you clarity or inspiration, subscribing to the channel is a simple way to keep receiving content that continues to guide and support your journey. And since you've made it all the way to the end, let's leave a little mark together. Write in the comments, I'm with you until the end. That way I'll know you were here, fully present, and it might also inspire someone else who scrolls down and sees your words. And if you felt a connection with what we explored today, a like on the video is always appreciated. It's a quiet way of saying that this message resonated with you. Now, if you want to keep flowing in this same energy, there's a video right here that complements everything we've been talking about. Click and continue with me over there.